The Exploits River system is the largest river system in the province. It stretches from the southwest corner of the province at King George IV Lake to the Atlantic Ocean and the Bay of Exploits, a distance of some 180 miles. The natural Atlantic salmon run was originally 1,200 strong and only extended upstream as far as the falls at nearby Grand Falls. It was this natural falls, a major obstruction, that prohibited the fish from getting any further upstream. By the late 1960s, a stocking program was introduced to give nature a helping hand, requiring Abitibi Consolidated, then the operator of a paper mill and hydro facility, to address the issue of fish passage in its operations. Thanks to a concerted effort by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, tributaries upstream of Grand Falls were stocked with young salmon. Today, this program has produced remarkable results, with an annual fish run up the river in the range of some 45,000 fish. To facilitate the movement of these fish, salmon ladders have now been installed at the Bishop's Falls Dam, the Grand Falls Dam, nearby Goodyear's Dam, Exploits Dam at the exit of Red Indian Lake, as well as North and South Twin Lakes. Nalcor Energy assumed operations of all of these dams in 2009, and they continue to be used for the production of electrical energy at nearby generating stations at Bishop's Falls and Grand Falls, Windsor. These ladders have been instrumental in the success story of Atlantic salmon on the river. In 1996, the aging steel penstocks at Grand Falls were replaced with a modern power canal. At that time, careful consideration was given to installing a fish diversion system, primarily to divert outgoing salmon, smolt, and kelp back to the Exploits River and away from the company's hydro turbines. The diversion system is called louver technology, which is actually a behavioral system of plastic bars supported by a floating boom which stretches across the canal to actually guide fish toward a bypass entrance. An extensive monitoring program was introduced using radio telemetry technology to determine the success of this system.
The research that I was most involved in was the biological understanding of how fish move and how fish approach the guidance structures, and then integrating that with the engineering to provide better ways to move fish more effectively that's less risky and less energetically costly to them. There's a number of techniques that can be used to study fish, and one of the ones that's most widely used, particularly around hydro projects and dams, is radio telemetry, because the transmitters that we place in the fish need to be surgically implanted, and that has a lot of benefits because it allows you to study the fish in their native environment. That has very profound scientific implications because the fish is reacting to its natural environment rather to an artificial environment. So the growth in that incoming adult population has been directly related to the improvements that have been made in getting the juvenile fish out of the river. Anytime you can get juvenile salmonids out of a river system to the marine environment, that has a direct implications for the return of adults, and so seeing that increase has been really rewarding for me.
Since the installation of the louver system, the number of healthy salmon returning above Grand Falls has been increasing almost every year. For Exploits Generation Manager Wilmore Eddy of Bishop's Falls, the success of this so-called behavioral system is living proof that the efforts of industry, as well as the Department of Fisheries and Oceans and the local Environment Resources Management Association, a local conservation group, are actually paying off.
But we've taken a river that historically had an annual run of 1,200 fish. 2 years ago we had a run of 47,000 fish, so that demonstrates the success that we've had through that period. And all that time we continued to generate hydroelectric energy at Grand Falls, Windsor, and at Bishop Falls. When we went through this process, there was no roadmap on how you could achieve success. So the approach that was taken was one of a spirit of cooperation. We work with the regulator as the industry. We also work with the scientific community and with conservation groups such as IRMA. I strongly believe that there's not a single river there's got Atlantic salmon that run on that river that you can't improve the likelihood of those salmon getting up the river to spawn and back out again as juveniles. It takes commitment, it takes some funding, and it takes the devotion of people at all levels that are involved with that to make it the success that we've made this river.
Scientific studies have shown that approximately 65% of the fish go through an opening in the main dam, using water provided by Nalcor Energy, under a minimum flow agreement with the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. This minimum flow agreement applies to all of the company's dams and provides extra water for fish habitat and fish migration. It's the type of cooperation that has enabled the project to be a success. The overall effectiveness of this system at Grand Falls, Windsor ensures that approximately 98% of all young salmon successfully pass the generating facility.
When visitors come to the Salmon Interpretation Center, they're sort of taken away by the size of the success. Most people know that over the years that the exploits has had great success in working with the Atlantic salmon, but when they come and see the fish eye to eye, I think they have a different appreciation for the great natural resource that we have here. All this development certainly wouldn't have been possible without a lot of cooperation, both levels of government, ourselves being a public interest group, and certainly the other users like Nalcor on the river. It all requires partnerships, it all requires understanding what the other party needs, and we have accomplished that over the last few years. If you look at the Exploits River, it's the second largest producing river of Atlantic salmon now in North America. And these days we're seeing approximately 50,000 fish coming back to our river. We certainly would have to declare that a great success story.
In 2001, the Bishops Falls generating facility was refurbished. Once this modernized plant was put back into operation, a new fish bypass system was designed to remove fish from the forebay and divert them back to the Exploits River. This system was designed using expertise already gathered and by working cooperatively with the Department of Fisheries and Oceans.
On the Exploits River, Fisheries and Oceans played a regulatory role. Our department is responsible to ensure the safe passage of fish up and downstream of the facilities on the Exploits River. From a Fisheries and Oceans perspective, this project has been a success story. When you look at the increased numbers of survival rates for smolt migrating downstream, as well as the increased returns of adult salmon back each year, DFO views this project as something we're very proud to be a part of.
Radio telemetry technology was also used at Bishops Falls to evaluate the effectiveness of this particular bypass. The system takes full advantage of the spill gate in the forebay. Modifications have been made to allow a flow stream through stop logs into a plunge pool, where the fish can then exit to the river. Every year, spring runoff brings with it adult salmon that have migrated downstream from the spawning grounds. Some of these adult salmon will enter the power canal at the Grand Falls hydroelectric plant. Barriers prevent the salmon from entering the power generation turbines, and without assistance, they can be delayed in their migration downstream. By early May, a cooperative effort between local fishermen and Exploits Generation staff to remove salmon from the power canal and transport them downstream is underway.
First year we seined fish, we ended up with a little less than 100 fish. In 2010 was the peak of our seining operation. We seined out 7,000 adult salmon on their outstream migration from the Grand Falls power canal. Since we've started the seining operation, we've noticed an increase almost year over year of bigger fish returning to the Exploits River.
Historically, in excess of $7 million was spent in the area of fish diversion during operations on the Exploits River and at Red Indian Lake. Nalcor Energy has also invested $600,000 in scientific studies and replacement of salmon passage infrastructure, and they continue to invest to improve the facility.
Every year I look forward to the salmon run on the Exploits River. Even though I don't salmon fish, it's just good to see those numbers year after year after year. To go down on the river every year and see more and more people, more and more boats down on the river. It's a big economic boost to the whole central Newfoundland region.
Nalcor Energy continues to maintain a strong working relationship with all of its major stakeholders that have made the Atlantic salmon's journey along this mighty Exploits River a complete success story.